The next topic that we are going to discuss under ecology is about population. So basically, population ecology is being discussed here, and this area is further discussed in the option topics for HL students. The only things that is actually being discussed under populations are, of course, we have to define what a population is and their differences from communities. So right after the definition part, okay, we have to discuss about factors affecting population size. Okay, since there are different factors that is affecting population size, we have to take note on how they're affecting the population size. For example, natality. Okay, natality. This is the number of births that is actually being produced or that is being given in a specific number of population. So in this case, natality is a factor that increases the population size. On the other hand, there is another factor such as mortality. Mortality is the number of deaths that is present in a specific number of a population. So, on the other hand, mortality is a factor that decreases population size. There are different factors that is affecting population size. We just need to relate them on how they are occurring in real life. If the students would be like taking like economics classes or business classes, we can also relate to like simple terms in in their subject matter, in their respective subject matter. So we have to discuss about natality, mortality. Okay, we have to discuss about immigration. Immigration, on the other hand, this is the number of individuals that are moving into a certain area or moving into a certain land area. So immigration, both natality and immigration are increasing population size, while emigration is the opposite, wherein emigration is the number of individuals that are moving out from a certain area. So this factor is actually decreasing population size. So if we can think of more factors affecting population size, then we'll be able to help the students to elaborate further on their essays, because this question is actually being discussed more or being given more in essay. Okay. So right after identifying the factors, okay, we have to discuss about the population growth curve. Okay, we should always indicate that the population growth curve is always sigmoid curve, okay, or S curve, because of certain factors. Okay, so first we have to provide a diagram for the population growth curve, and we have to label the parts in the population growth curve. So for example, if we have this diagram, okay, we actually see that this is an example of a sigmoid curve. So we have to make a diagram on what are the representations on this area. For example, on the first area, this is the land phase, wherein there is probably the population is not yet increasing rapidly because the organisms are still adjusting on their conditions. So you have to explain the reasons behind, what the graph is actually telling you, or what actually the graph is explaining about. So it's very important that we need to further elaborate on the graph, because by elaborating further on the graph, we are actually helping the students on their analysis skills, because a lot of graphs are being provided in their exams. So one of which is the population growth curve. So right after, okay, so explain. Okay, explain the reasons behind the event. So for example, this one, in the second area, we have to label this as the exponential growth curve. So usually in the exponential growth curve, there is a rapid increase. Okay? There's a rapid increase in the population because of certain conditions. So conditions such as increased natality rate, increased immigration rate, all of which are contributing to an increase in the population curve. Okay? So we can also indicate that certain conditions such as resources is also made available to the organisms or to the population. That's why there is an increase in the population. Okay? So once that we have discussed the population growth curve, okay, we should now discuss the factors affecting population increase. So once that we have identified the factors affecting the population size, what are the factors that could further increase a population? So like this one, of course, we cannot expect a population just to randomly increase, but there are certain factors that are needed, such as, of course, resources such as food source, okay, resources such as habitat, okay, so that is actually affecting the organisms in increasing population. Okay, so if we have identified them, then we can actually say that this is further increasing the population because it provides a very conducive conditions for the organisms to reproduce more, because the conditions are good. So we have to include the presence of predators. So this type, in the case of increasing population, we can actually relate this to what is occurring in human population, or just the normal population that is occurring in a specific ecosystem. Because in human population, students can actually relate to what is being discussed because they actually see them. But in the case of course, ecology, we have to also we have to explain this area in the context of ecology as well, because of course there are other factors such as predators, okay, wherein predators are they are organisms that are hunting for other animals for food. So in that case, the presence of predators would actually decrease the population. So apart from that, okay, we have to indicate the presence of disease or parasites. So of course, obviously, presence of disease and parasites, this decreases the population size. So if students can think of more factors, then so much the better. And if they're able to relate them to what is naturally occurring in the ecosystem, then it's better as well. So that would be all for populations.